rebels and troublemakers to stand out. Marginalized with voices making us so proud. For identity in the industry, we all shout. So many women empowered.
For those of you that don't know, Cheryl has just been elected neighborhood council for Los Feliz in Los Angeles. Yay! She's taking on politics now, and unfortunately dragging me to every political thing.
Yes, I have been. So yesterday, Nicci joined me at the Los Angeles County Office of Violence Prevention regarding sexual assault strategic planning committee. Woo, that was a lot.
Needed no introduction, but she got a theme song. What it takes to lead a real activist we lean on. Militant, humility, woman meets the...
Hey, everyone. I am very excited. So people in Hollywood know that I don't fucks with most people. Most groups in Hollywood, I find them performative. But I do have some partners in what we do. And most of them are run by Black women. So I'm very excited to have one of our partners here, Divas with Disabilities. Because even when they have people with disabilities, normally they're played by non-disabled people, but even when they do, they never look like us, ever. So Divas with Disabilities is out here fighting a good fight in Hollywood, and they have a new series coming up. Divas in the City, all these Black women living their best life who have disabilities.
Okay, so everyone, welcome to How Hollywood Works or Doesn't, our WOCU Spottable pod. And today we are celebrating brilliance, power, creativity with a very special group featuring the incredible women from Divas with Disabilities and Divas in the City. And we are talking to artists, activists, community leaders, game changers, who are reshaping the way Hollywood looks. So grab coffee, tea, Aperol spritz, because it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So get ready to laugh, learn, and celebrate the unstoppable magic of these divas.
So we have Samiyah Muhammed. She is the Human Rights and Wellness Program Manager for Divas with Disabilities and a proud global diva ambassador. An autism mom, autoimmune warrior, and fierce advocate, Samiyah fights for disability rights, mental health, gender equality, and reproductive justice with a fire you can't miss. She also leads the Jitterbitty advocacy for Divas Pride Ability Program and created the Dating While Disabled blog and podcast to amplify Black, Brown, LGBTQ, and disabled voices everywhere. So please welcome the unstoppable Samiyah Muhammed. We also have my friend Tameka. Hey, girl. Tameka Citchen-Spruce. She is an independent film producer, speaker, and disability justice powerhouse. After a car accident as an infant left her with a T2 spinal cord injury, Tameka turned her passion for media and activism into a lifelong mission. She's the force behind the award-winning short Justifiable Homicide, the inspiring documentary My Girl's Story, and produced for PBS's acclaimed American Masters series, The Renegades. Telling real, raw, powerful stories is her superpower. Please help me welcome my friend Tameka. Zazel-Chavah Ogara, did I pronounce that right, I hope? Is the founder and artistic director of ZCO/Dance Project, a groundbreaking dance company blending power, wit, and soul on stage. After surviving a life-changing brain tumor diagnosis, Zazel turned her journey into a mission, using dance as a healing art for both disabled and non-disabled communities. She's a master of resilience, artistry, and pure joy, and her work continues to break barriers and lift spirits everywhere. Please welcome the incredible Zazel. Sorry.
I'm going to start with a fun question here, or not fun, but hilarious. What is the one hilarious or ridiculous accessibility fail you've seen that just made you shake your head? And this can be on set or not, because I know that Samiyah is more activist than production.
Yes. So for me, I would say I've been in film for a minute now, and so I would say the most barrier that I found is people's attitudes. So there was one particular case where I was just beginning, to embark on this, filmmaking journey, and I met a gentleman, a man that was saying he was this and that and the other, huge producer and things like that, in the Detroit area where I'm from. And so, many people in, the filmmaking community was drawn to him because he was talking about all the opportunities that he could bring. And so he made a point to kind of say mentor me or give me a chance. But then when he did it and I started going to his events, he always made a habit of pointing me out like he was doing charity. Like, oh, look at Tameka, and she's in a wheelchair, and isn't this good? What I'm doing, like in other words, he said, and those exact words, but that was his attitude. And so he wanted to do a story on me, but I said I wasn't comfortable with my kids, being part of it because they were little babies at the time, and my husband wasn't, interested in showing them. And he got upset with me and my husband. He was like, if you missing this opportunity, if you would have been known by now, or just really just had a really negative attitude. But what really made me shake my head is when he always put me on this pedestal and act like I was charity instead of seeing me as, like any other, filmmaker, crew member who, is bringing my talent and want to know about the industry. Don't put me up like that, like I'm a charity case. So that made me shake my head.
I'm not gonna lie, that makes me want to bitch slap somebody, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was like, really? So
Samiyah?
For me, it's more of a like from a viewer's perspective when I'm watching this and I'm like, trying to be immersed in some kind of creative spiel, and like they're using the mobility aids wrong, or like they're using the terminology incorrectly, or they're not like really describing the real experiences of what it's like for different types of disabilities. Like that really irks my nerves. And sometimes it's done so horribly, I just can't do nothing but laugh because it's just like, wow, you couldn't talk to somebody about this, or like you couldn't do your research or something.
Zazel?
Yes, it's Zazel. I have something to say. I am a part of the Screen Actors Guild AFTRA union, the Screen Actors Guild Union, the PWD, Performance with Disabilities, and here in New York City. And I attend, I'm one of the only minority female within the PWD union. And although they strive to make us equal, like give us all the parts and, have us go to auditions and what have you, there's still, they have a long way to go with accepting us for who we are and looking at our talents for who we are. I mean, it's still a big, big problem. Although they say, okay, we want you to go to this audition or that audition or go to, they invited me to go to the CBS pilot season last year, but it still wasn't inclusive. And that's what we're trying very, very hard to do for us to be included in everything.
Zazel, can you expand on that? Because I'm not a big fan of most diversity programs in Hollywood because I find most of them performative.
Well, it's so interesting that you said that. It was a while ago. I mean, over 10 years ago, a friend of mine who I danced with back in the day, we were both at Alvin Ailey together, and he was an incredible dancer. And he got into a dance company in England, and then went to on tour in South Africa. And while he was in South Africa, he was in a horrible car accident and became a quadriplegic. He was the one that, he found out that I became disabled, and he was the one that said, Zazel, you have to join the Screen Actors Guild Performers with Disabilities Union because we need your voice. We need to have you be represented. Everyone needs to see your talent. And even though he said that it's going to be very difficult because they don't see eye to eye with us, they don't view us, with disabilities that we can be offered the same kind of parts as able-bodied persons. So he was the one that made me join the union and put my voice and my talents out there because otherwise we're just not seen.
Yeah, I actually think it's really important also behind the scenes, right? So, and I think a lot of people in here have seen Cross, and I think it's the DA who is in a wheelchair. She's a wheelchair user. But what a lot of people didn't know was that Ben's assistant was a woman with a disability, and now she's a writer. And she didn't write for Cross, she actually wrote on The Greatest. But I think it's really important for people to have people with disabilities in their company because then it brings a whole new perspective. So that's just like my 2 cents, because a lot of people didn't know that Ben's former assistant was a woman with a disability. And now she's a writer on The Greatest. So, shout out to Black folk keeping it real. Just wanted to say that. Go ahead, Nicci.
Absolutely, shout out.
Who's doing it right? Like, what have you seen any films, productions, etc., that are actually doing it right? Personally, I recently went to see The Accountant too, and through the Q&A afterwards, found that the entire the team that is severely autistic is actually was all cast by or had been cast as they were all actually autistic people and these kids, and they let them kind of be themselves rather than scripting them to be something they were not. But have you seen a production that is doing it right?
I believe Wicked, that's a great example of that. I believe that has done it right. They, for the first time, it's Nessa, I believe the character. Name, please correct me, if I'm wrong, but that is, the sister of Cynthia. So, for the first time, the character, the actor is actually disabled. So Wicked, the character is disabled. The person who played the actress is disabled. And so, and then the younger version of the sister is actually played by beautiful, she's so cute, little girl who is Black as well, who's actually, uses a wheelchair. So I think they definitely got it right in that movie.
Just so you all know, you'll see 2 words. That is the editor, Butch Wortman. He is the editor for Divas in the City. I asked him to join us because I want to be able to upload one of their episodes for you guys to see. So that's who he is. He is also, he was the editor on the bonus content of Cross. And that's how we got involved at Women of Color Unite. Tameka and Dr. Donna Walton came to me as our partners and needed an editor. And I was like, I just work with an incredible one. So hopefully we'll be able to upload an episode of Divas in the City for you guys to see. So that's who Butch is. Go ahead, Nicci.
I wanted to ask Samiyah, as somebody not in Hollywood, have you seen anything that you felt was doing it right?
I've seen a couple of things where it's become more inclusive. They're more so directed towards children because I am an autism mommy. So, I try and find things that have a lot of good representation, not only for him as a person who is on the spectrum, but also just so others can understand what it's like to live as a person with disabilities. Now, unfortunately, it's not really a lot of casting for Black or Brown children who are disabled, but a couple of series that I've noticed that are doing a little bit more inclusive casting was Raising Dion. Um, that's a series on Netflix where the child has superpowers and he's a young Black boy who has superpowers, but one of his friends is a wheelchair user. And so I like how they are very inclusive of her and she has a lot of screen time. Something that my son really has liked is Atypical and Good Doctor. He feels as though it gives a lot of good representation for those who are on the spectrum who are a little bit higher functioning, because a lot of times people don't understand how high masking works. So he has explained to me that, like, for Good Doctor, the way that they see things visually, that is like spot on for him. And for Atypical, he just likes how funny he is and how, his mannerisms are. And so those are a couple of series that I've noticed that have done it right.
Speaking of superpowers, what would your superpower be?
My superpower would be psychokinesis. I don't know if anyone is familiar with that, but it's like the mother of telekinesis. So I'd be able to like move stuff with my mind, but I'd also be able to communicate with my mind. So bringing things to me or explaining to people like what certain symptoms or disabilities are like without having to go through the physical exhaustion, just doing it with my mind.
Tameka, what about you?
Yes, Maya, you stole. Actually, my I was gonna say. So yeah, controlling things with my mind. So bringing things to me, would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I like to do the same thing. I like to use my mind. And even though, it can be difficult at times, I really, really think about the power I have comes from my mind. Definitely.
So a lot of people in production, but also in out in the real world, um, are always trying to like reinvent the wheel when it comes to hiring people with disabilities. And what I learned from one of the first people that I interviewed way back in the day was I was like, so what do I need to do? Like, can we do this? Can we do that? And I'm trying to figure this out. And she looked at me and she's like, you do not need to play MacGyver here. I already can tell you what I need. I've, already invented the wheel. Let me give you the driver's manual and this is all you need to do. You don't have to try and figure it out. So what's one thing you wish people would stop overcomplicating?
Something I wish people would stop overcomplicating is the fact that people with disabilities or, who live with disabling conditions, like that we are capable of doing a lot of things. Like we are also very talented. We are also very creative. Like I just wish people would stop overcomplicating the fact that, yes, I have a disability, but I'm also, that I have more to myself than that. Like I really dislike when people are like, 'cause for me, mine are considered, like, more invisible or non-obvious disabilities, and so when they see me do all of these magnificent things and then they find out that I have disabling conditions or I am disabled, they're like, "Oh my god, I had no idea." Yeah, because I didn't necessarily put it on my forehead, but, like, just because I have the capability of doing these things doesn't mean that I'm, able-bodied per se, and, it shouldn't be shocking that I have the capability of doing this.
Tamika?
Yes, yes, yes. Like what's similar to what Samiyah said, and it says with my disability is physical. I use a wheelchair, so you can see my. So yeah, a lot of people overcomplicate my their ideas of my life. So so yeah, they very surprised that I can drive or I have kids and I'm married and I have a job or I graduate from college and just all those things. What I tell people or they see me just out and about in my life, people are very surprised and sometimes it becomes borderline what we call like kind of like inspirational porn type of thing. Like I'm just, doing daily things and people just want to praise or whatever, the case may be. And it got so bad sometimes that people, give me money. I could just be rolling down the street and, going about my own business or see me with my kids and, they want to give me, money, $20, $100. And it's just in a mall, somebody gave me money then. And it's like, really, you don't think I might have more money than you, but you're thinking I, need your money and stuff. So, people very much overcomplicate my life.
That happens to me. People constantly overcomplicate my life. They don't believe, just like you, they don't believe that I could do things, that I could, dance, I could work, I could go to college, I could travel, I could date, I could, they just think that I'm just a different type of person. I always tell this story that, I'm originally from the Caribbean, and in the Caribbean culture, you cannot be disabled. It's just like, they look like, why you walk like that? Why you look like that? They just think that um, I'm totally different and I'm not capable of doing things. So I definitely agree with Tameka about how people treat how people treat me. I just laugh.
Can we go back to people just randomly giving you money? I need to ask this question. Do you take it?
I would take it.
I take it.
Yeah, I did, yeah, all the times. Even just with my husband, we were walking across the street when the kids were smaller, and somebody honked their horn, while they was waiting for us to cross because the light was red, of course. And then my husband ran back, took the money, and went back across the street. So, but one time I was with my mom, and a guy told me after the movie, the guy told him to give me $1. Now that I didn't take, I just laughed in his face. So no, don't give me $1. But 20, 50, 100.
Girl, take that money, that $100, that $20. Look, go ahead, help me out with that. I don't care. I'll take your money. It's free of charge. You just paying me for compensation of wasting my time. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to say real quick for the pod, this is why we need to make sure that we are in alliance with everybody, right? Because some of this shit is wild. And even if we wouldn't dare do something like that, the fact that there are, God told me, give you $1. Okay. All right, next question, Nicci, because I think Tameka just broke my brain with that one.
I'm going off script here because I know I sent out a lot of these questions and now I just have different questions. But how often have you had to go off on somebody? And I ask this because I spent 3 months in a wheelchair with a broken knee. Not that I feel like I'm a wheelchair user. I was bad at it. But the amount of times that people would talk to my friend who was like pushing me around infuriated me. And so I went off on people left and right. How many times have you had to go off on somebody? And what is the funniest that you've
Well,
gone
I
off on
could I
somebody?
could tell you a funny situation where I'm like in the middle of Manhattan during rush hour, crossing the street. I waited till the light changed, and as I was walking, a taxi drove around the corner. As I'm walking in the middle of the street, and he screams out of the car, "If you can't walk, get out of the effing street," out loud. And I stopped in the middle of the street, and there was there was traffic. And I can't tell you what I said to him, but everyone on the street started laughing because of my
Yes, you can.
response.
I've said the C word on this pod. You can tell us what you
Oh,
said
okay.
here.
I said, you need to shut the fuck up, you, before I deport your ass. And everyone started laughing.
Samaya, I know you've cussed somebody out.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Okay. It's kind of like Zazel, where she was saying, like, culturally speaking, like for my family, they've never believed that I have a disability, and like I've even had to over my life, with dealing with this disabling condition, I've had to, adjust my mobility. So like having my walker, having my canes, like those are absolutely necessary for me. And girl, okay, I'm gonna say I contain myself because sometimes I'm not too much of a talker. I sprint right into action, and that almost kicked in for me. I went home for a visit, and I was seeing some family that I hadn't seen for a while, and I had my cane, and like I was just trying to get through or do something, and like I had to lift my cane up, and so this woman tried to tell the rest of my family, "Oh, she don't even need that cane. She look at her. She'll need that cane." Girl, I promise you, I almost swung that cane around and grabbed her by the throat, and I was like, "Okay, you know what? It's time for me to bounce." So, sometimes words don't come first for me, so I had to catch myself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I, well, a lot of times I just laugh and stuff because I know I do have a temper. I may not seem like if you know me, you'll be very surprised to know that. So I just laugh and go about my business. But there has been a couple times where people go too far with it, with them being ignorant, where I had to like, okay, I had to correct them um, in their assumptions.
Well, yeah, I remember when I was traveling to my homeland, Munster at West Indies, and I had to get off the plane. You have to transfer in Antigua to go to Montserrat. And when I'm there, I had on a short dress, and you could see my brace, and I'm using a cane, and they have no tact whatsoever. They just come out and say like stupid things. So the guy looks at me, and he calls somebody over. He calls somebody over. Look upon what you are wearing. Look upon what you're wearing. And then they ask me, "What happened to your foot? What happened to your foot?" And I just said, "I kicked my man in his ass. That's why I'm walking like that." And she shut the hell up.
That is the best thing I've ever heard in my life. Please patent that and put it on the shirt, please.
Yeah.
Uh, um, so, um, based on what's the most overused and frankly underwhelming trope that is in media that you guys just wish would go away? Just like have Hollywood retire it, make it go away.
For me, the most overused trope that I usually see in media is like um over dependence on what is it called, psychosomatic symptoms, where they're saying like it's all in the mind, it's all in the brain, it's all like with your emotional and mental health, which I understand there are some symptoms that absolutely applies to, but it doesn't apply to everything. And so when I see people like magically being cured because they went to therapy, and it's like you had this whole physical condition, there's no way in hell you got cured by going to a regular therapist to talk about it. And like just seeing some things like that really, ooh, that really irritates me.
Suzelle?
What did they always do in Hollywood? They try to, I don't know, they try to talk down to you. Or they do talk down to you sometimes. They don't know how to relate to you as a person, as a normal person. And, what I've experienced is that, they talk down to, and giving like weird, um, uh, they just say weird things to you. And I don't appreciate it. I really don't appreciate it. I mean, treat me for who I am, not to what you think I am.
Go ahead, Tameka, jump right on in.
I guess this is a trope in a sense, and I would like to see more of, but I would like to see the other misunderstanding or belief that people with disabilities, uh, are asexual, or they they're not sexual, I say like that, not sexual, and so you really don't see them as like wives and or partners and things like that. So I would like to see more of this, like when it comes to films or TV shows about couples. I would love to see, or maybe one day I'll be able to work on a show like that, or a film that narrative, see women or men just as as a wife or a love interest, and seeing the dynamics that comes into play. That would
Well,
see.
that's so interesting that you said that because I know a couple who one is Hispanic and one is Black, and they are working on trying to do a series on their own, showing their romance, their beautiful passion that they have. I mean, they're breathtaking when you see the love and the passion. And although that they have, certain mobility issues, they don't let that stop them. I mean, it's so pure and so beautiful that you just like it just reeks from their souls, and you really want to be a part of their lives. You want to see more of what's happening.
Yes, 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 yeah. We need
Hmm.
more of that, and especially in the narrative space, because we see a little bit of that in the unscripted space, but most definitely in the narrative fiction space.
Because Samiyah
Okay.
has Dating While Disabled. Tell us about the impetus for that blog, because it sounds like that, that's the kind of stuff that needs to be shown.
Absolutely. That's absolutely why I actually made it, because I get so tired of seeing people think of who have disabilities as like, just a sidekick. Like we don't have actual lives, or like we don't have interests in sex, or like we don't have different positions and different assistive tools to help us enjoy our lives and enjoy our sex lives and enjoy our dating lives, because we love just as well as other people. And so that's the whole purpose of Dating While Disabled. It's to bring light, understanding that just because I have a disability doesn't mean that I can't be romantic. It doesn't mean that I can't feel sexy either. So, it's to broaden people's understanding and perspective of I'm disabled, but I have a life. There's more to my life than being disabled. And, that like when I see love on the spectrum and stuff like that, like it's cute, but I wish there was more representation of us. Like we need something that's going to be, like Tameka was saying, something that's not necessarily scripted, but also scripted, that can show like the dating dynamics and the dynamic relationship issues that sometimes come up for us and stuff like that. So that's the whole purpose of why I came up with Dating While Disabled, to be honest.
I feel like there's a lot of that when it comes to anyone that is not, you know, cis white. It in Hollywood as it is. Like I have never in my real life been like, hey, come over and meet my disabled friend, or come over and meet my gay friend, or come over and meet my Black friend. Like, but that happens on screen constantly, which others us. And I mean us by anybody that is like, a marginalized person. You get othered because Hollywood continuously makes this like highlight of you rather than just allowing you to be like. I don't introduce, like I introduce my friends like, here is Cheryl, she's the founder of Women of Color Unite, she is like the newly elected neighborhood council. I don't go, this is my Black friend Cheryl.
Agreed. And for those asking, Dating While Disabled is a podcast. Please go listen to it. Yeah, go listen to Dating While Disabled. Get a different perspective. Understand what. Look, our country has what, about between 25 and 30% of people in this country have a visible or invisible disability, and to get a better understanding and a better perspective. Because let's face it, when we're not in community with any marginalized person, like we fuck up, right? Like we make a mistake. Go listen. Expand your horizons.
So if you did get an unlimited budget and zero notes, in Hollywood, what would you create tomorrow? Or maybe not even in Hollywood. Samiyah?
Well, to answer Miss Dawn's question, yes, I would absolutely love to make Dating While Disabled into like a series or some type of production. That would be amazing. Honestly, my overall goal for that is to be a matchmaker, and to, continue to do sex and educational coaching. So something around that space for individual studies. That especially piques my interest because my son is, he's growing into his teenage years, and so having to explain to someone who is on the spectrum or someone who has an intellectual or developmental disability, like explain to them the nuances of what goes into being in relationships, not just romantic, but all kinds of relationships, because sometimes my son doesn't catch on to social cues. And so that's honestly what had inspired the whole thing. So if I had like an unlimited budget, I would probably start like a whole bunch of series that are just solely based on the romantic space within disabled life.
Well, my dance company, we created a piece last year and it's called Invisible Visible. And it's choreographed by a woman named Chris Heller. And what we do is that we each tell the story about invisible and visible disabilities. And it's just an incredible, incredible piece because people are talking about how they were dealt with in college and public school, how their parents dealt with them, how their experience was dating and finding a husband. And it's eight of us just really telling our stories. And I would just like a huge budget just to do an incredible musical about this, just to expand it even more because it's just such a compelling story. And that's why I filmed it, so I could get more audience response and get more money to just make it even bigger than what it is now.
For our friends in New York, because we have people from all over in this pod, where can they find that?
You can find it on my website, zcodanceproject.com, the film.
Tameka, if you had an unlimited budget.
Yes, yes. So I would say to do even more seasons of Divas in the City. I just, watched it. Butch, give a shout out to Butch. He did a wonderful, beautiful job. He really did great with editing the series. And so, and there's a lot more that has happened that we, weren't able to capture in these women's lives because of our limited budget. I, pretty much took what the, $8,000 that, I got from community um, um, uh, Center for Cultural Innovation gave me the $8,000. I pretty much used the money to do the series. So I would love to do more seasons and get more of the women's lives and put it on television, which is our ultimate goal to do.
When you first started out in your chosen careers, because I know Samiyah is not necessarily in Hollywood, but what was something that you wish somebody had warned you about, or that you wish you had known that would have changed your way forward?
Well, I think, I've been dancing forever and, trying to pursue this business since high school, because I went to the High School of Performing Arts. But they didn't tell us that, show business, the real word show business is business show. You have to know the business of this profession because if you don't, you'll sink. You'll just absolutely sink. There's so many classes that you have to take. Now everything is digital. You have to have a iPhone, a blue screen, or whatever. Headshots. Everything is about money and marketing yourself. So I wish somebody had told me about that earlier on because I would have definitely geared myself up for it even better.
Um, for me, yeah, I would say something similar to Zazel is understanding fully, business, of how it operates and how to, pitch, and the people that to uh, you know meet the people that can help you green light it, or so just things like that that would have been really helpful, for me at the beginning.
Yeah, I actually call show business the business of show, because I think that it really is a business first, and then the art is second.
So
Yeah,
in the high school of performing arts, do they have any business classes?
absolutely not.
Yikes.
Nothing. Nothing. Even to this day, there's still nothing about business. And, we as alumni, we always meet and, we have Facebook pages and we talk about this. They never put it in the program, in the curriculum. And then,
Wow.
the students are left, in the dark. They're in the dark. They go to college and, they go to Juilliard, or they go to, Carnegie Mellon or something like that. And they have no idea. It's not about just learning how to plie and lift your leg up. It's how to market yourself. And that costs money.
But that also how to read your contracts and how to set up your own, like, um, how to incorporate yourself so that when you're getting paid, you're not getting beaten to the wall in taxes
Let me
or
tell you
whatever.
something. One of my friends who was an actor, he walked into his building and the IRS was there waiting for him. I mean, you have to know how to deal with these contracts. I mean, you are left in the dark. You just have to know how to handle your money. I mean, it's really it's scary for a lot
And
of people.
especially when you're also paying out, like you're getting your check, but then you're paying out agent, manager, et cetera, and how to do your taxes to reflect that so that it doesn't look like you're making $150,000. You've actually only made $60,000 because the rest of it has gone out to other people.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I remember when I first started, I had a manager and an agent. The manager was taking 15%. The agent was taking 10%. So that's 25% of of the money coming out of my check. So when I got a check, I was thinking, "Oh my God, I'm getting a huge check." I just booked a commercial. No, I didn't, because they would take their money out first, and then I would get the check after
Yes.
that.
And then the IRS would take 43% of it.
Right. So you're left with $2.50.
I do have, I want to go back to something. Tameka, could you please explain what inspirational porn is for people?
Yeah. So inspirational porn is basically it was a term that was coined by a disabled lady from the UK. It was in a TED talk. Her name's Stella Young. And so inspirational porn is basically the objectifying disabled people in a sense that our sole existence is just to give you or give able-bodied people inspiration. So it's like, oh wow, it's projecting like if I was disabled, I wouldn't be able to, do X, Y, and Z. So since I wouldn't be able to do it if I was in the same situation, look how incredible, these people are for just doing things that, daily tasks or things that, everyday people do. So it really, when you have that kind of look at disabled people from just that lens, it objectifies and it prevents people from seeing disabled people as whole human beings. So instead of seeing me as like, of course, she's, a mother and she's just with her child, just like, I'd be with my child, taking care of them or going to the store or whatever the case may be. So instead of seeing me as that, they see me like, oh, if I was disabled, I would know what to do. I would be able to, take my child out. So it just really leads to, objectifying, and it just like our existence is just to inspire able-bodied people instead of seeing us as everyday people and being inspired by, you know, what we're able, the things that we're able to overcome, just like, societal barriers, like, she overcame, or she's dealing with societal barriers, or this and that, the other. That's inspiring, but you still see me as a whole person. So that's kind of like the shortened version of inspirational porn.
Can you give us an example in a movie or TV show?
So, like, for example, you might have inspirational porn, in particular in the spinal cord injury community, where I'm belong, of course, is like kind of what irks us is like, oh, the person to be able to be successful with a disability means you have to be able to walk. You know what I'm saying? So you see somebody fighting, to walk again, and you see them, focusing on that, and that's their determination of success is based upon if they're able to walk, not if they're able to, learn a life of their new normal per se, and that is whether they're able to walk or not. So you see a lot of movies like that features people, with spinal cord injuries or any type of conditions, that their sole existence is just, based on successes, curing their disability, or, those type of things, I would say is more so inspirational porn.
Yeah, the movie Radio also comes to mind.
Yeah, saw Radio. Yeah, his sole existence is just to inspire, the football team. It's not really seeing him or the story they really, deal with, the barriers. Just, oh, he has a disability, yeah.
What's worse though, the inspirational porn or trauma porn?
Yeah, trauma porn can be, of course, just as bad because, it reduces people just to, what the trauma is. It just, if you don't explore all the complexities of a person's life, the good, the bad, because disabled people are just like everyone else, of course. So they have good sides to them, they got bad things, to them, sides to them. And, so if you're not able to explore the complexities, the nuances of their life as their whole selves, then it does a disservice to the story and to the character.
And then there's that awful movie, Me Before You.
Oh, yes. That's
Wow.
another example. Yep, of inspirational porn. So if you ever see Me Before You, is a man who become disabled, having spinal cord injury. So he falls in love with his, I don't know if she was his aide or something. I never actually seen the whole film, but, the aide, and then he commits, suicide essentially, and give her all the money. It's like, really, that's not a good message. Like, I'd rather die, than be this way, and then I'll give my love. Like, that's professing love. And it's like, no.
Yeah, it's actually seen as a selfless and romantic act to unalive yourself because you have a disability. Like that, that movie is so problematic on so many levels.
Exactly.
What's your heck yeah, I'm amazing moment that you replay when you need a boost? Like you're having a bad day and you're like, you know what? I might be having a bad day now, but I was really good yesterday. Or what was that? What's that moment where you're super proud of yourself?
For me, I would say it's when I have a good turnout for some public speaking regarding advocacy. So just a lot of the diva events that we do, um, to spread awareness and just having open conversation about various aspects of disability and also advocating for it. That's what gets me going. I'd be like, okay, I did that, and give myself the little finger claps. You know what I mean? the finger applause with the nails.
What do you want more people to know about your advocacy, or like what do you want more people to know? You look, you have an audience. Tell us.
What I want more people to know is that there's a stark difference between your human rights and your civil rights, and that human rights encompasses all of the things that we are fighting for. So the fact that we have to fight about being disabled and that we have rights, that shouldn't even be a thing, because our human rights entitles us to having a comfortable life. You know, having to fight for the fact that, some of us are a part of, the queer community. That shouldn't even be a thing, because that should be a part of your human rights. Um, just racial equality, that's a part of human rights. All of these things that we fight for separately and individually, all of those fall under human rights. And so that's usually what I'm trying to get people to understand, is that your human rights trumps everything, because everything is within your human right. I hope I explained that in a way that makes some good sense.
No, that makes sense. Zazel?
What do I like? I like when I'm giving a class, particularly, I'm going to tell you the experience. I was at the Abilities Expo, and I'm giving a class, and I'm just so charged because people just love taking part in the class. And everyone is just getting off of my energy and my love of movement and my love for being around people. And they just are overjoyed with what they can do with the, because they never thought they could move. And here I am, I'm there with my huge smile on my face and my energy, and I'm giving back to others. And I say to myself, God gave me my life back, and I'm going to give back to others. And that brings me pure joy.
Tameka?
Yes. Um, so what brings me joy, the audience get to have, watch my films and see people's reaction. Uh, One screening I did for my girl story of a couple years back, and uh, disabled young black woman said, I finally feel seen, because that's why I create, produce stories for people from my community to feel seen. Um, so, that brings me joy. Also, when I speak, on different topics, at conferences or webinars and such, that people, commenting and say to give them hope, or, you know, um, and things like that. That brings me joy. Having them um, getting more of an understanding, more of a perspective that's different from theirs. I see that as successful too.
How do you feel like your perspective has made you better in what you do, Samiyah?
For me, having the perspective that I have, like, I've grown up like being a caretaker for my mom. I grew up just being a caretaker in general. So like I've been closely enmeshed with like seeing people live their life with disabilities and things like that. And I feel like having that perspective has given me compassion for one. It's given me a determination and a drive to help others to see things differently and with more clarity. Um, it also helps me, and just helping to convey that, just because someone has a disability doesn't make them any less human than you. And so I feel as though my perspectives gives me a leg up, because it helps me to kind of deal with the stupidity that comes with the work that is involved in advocacy, because you really have to deal with a lot of ignorance and a lot of just things that you would think is common sense, but common sense ain't so common. I learned that very early on in this life. And so having the perspective based on like just my experience with being a caretaker, and then also being a disabled individual, like I feel like it just gives me a more humanistic perspective on life.
Um, for me, my perspective of growing up with my disability. Also, I, was born in Detroit, and I lived in Detroit for, a couple years, and I've done a lot of advocacy as an adult in Detroit. I actually grew up in the suburbs. So in addition to being, disabled growing up, I was also oftentimes one of the only Black, girls with a disability in the school, So actually, yeah, and I was mainstream as well, which means that I was in the school in the classroom with my peers, at my grade level. So during that time, I was the only Black girl with, a physical disability in the entire school. And so, through K through 12, actually. So, in addition to dealing with, ableism and just, peers sometimes making fun of me, I had to deal with racism, from some of the white kids saying, racist slurs and, things like that directed towards me or towards, other Black students, and there being, a brown skinned young woman. So I went through the whole colorism thing, as well. And so, I really had to learn how to fight and how to advocate for myself and to have grit, because if I did not fight, for myself and for my needs and what I want, it wouldn't have happened. So, even getting into this field, I was actually discriminated against. After high school, I wanted to go to a broadcasting school for radio and television, and they called a whole meeting, with my mom and I, and essentially denied me access to their school, because it actually said, because you have use a wheelchair, students are not going to help you. We can't accommodate, and so you won't be able to come to the school. And I wasn't an advocate, as much like a disability advocate as I am now, but because of my grit and my passion and my purpose, I said, well, I'm going to do this film thing anyway. So, I diverted and, got to theater and things like that. So, but yeah, all my life, I feel like that Oprah Winfrey in The Color Purple. All my life, I had to fight, and I did, So that grit and that fight, I think, helped me, continue in this industry, and fight for the representation. And I think that my fight, encourages other people to, other disabled people, not to accept what others say about you, but you have power to, to fight for yourself and fight what you want, because you deserve it like anyone else. So yeah, the disability definitely taught me grit, passion and purpose.
I want to go back to something that you had mentioned, and it's something that I've noticed when disabled people are represented on television or films or in media. It's always it seems when it's people of color, it's always the men that are depicted. It's you very rarely see women of color depicted in media as disabled unless they're just batshit crazy. It's not wheelchair users or women with autism, or like it always seems to focus on men of color or white folks. Why do you think that is?
I think it probably goes back to people who is able, who's in the writer's room, who are the producers, who greenlight the material, because like what I found when I try to pitch the ideas, Divas in the City or others, when it's exclusively focusing on Black disabled characters, sometimes the industry see that as too niche. And so, so it's like, well, this is our lives. So it's kind of like the why can't we, why are we seen as too niche, or, why can't these stories or, be created as or greenlit to be available and the characters. So I think that's really what it goes back to, the creators and producers, writers, and people who create light.
Yeah, so we have a script that we have been pitching, and I have been told it is too intersectional. Like there is something that, like, somebody can't be Black, a woman, disabled, dark skin. Like it's weird that it's considered too diverse, too intersectional.
That one character is everything, isn't she? She's Black, dark-skinned, queer, disabled, a woman.
Oh, she's me. I'm joking.
Yeah, no, and it's actually called Vote Love. And so and I have been told that it's funny, it's really good, we love the characters, but it's too intersectional. So there is a role, and we specifically tailored it to, specifically at the time, Diana Elizabeth Jordan and Tatiana Lee. And so the manager of the candidate running, she just happens to be in a wheelchair, and everybody always asks the same, why is she in a wheelchair? And I'm like, that's not part of the story. She just happens to be a wheelchair user. And they're like, yeah, but isn't it weird that she's the campaign manager and I'm like, Jesus, help me. And then another role was for a reporter, and that was to go to Diana Elizabeth Jordan. They're like, you have too many disabled characters in this script. Okay. All right. Cool. Whatever. So there is this idea in Hollywood that a character is too intersectional, that she can't be, like, it can't be too much, right? Like if it's a woman, then normally she is white. If it's somebody who's Black, they can't be legitimate equal. Like there is this idea that it is considered too niche when it's just part of the world. Yeah, I know, Samiyah. Woo, child, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Samiyah's got something to say. I keep seeing that mic flicker.
Girl, look, everything you just said, I'm like, she just sound like a human being to me. I don't understand it. And it irritates me because, as somebody who wants to see that representation, as somebody who's like, okay, I love watching my series about, Black women thriving and, but there's always that one lesbian in the group. And then it's like, okay, why she gotta be like this? Like, why does she have to be so something? It just don't seem like it's a legitimate person to me, the way that they characterize her. Or when they show us as, like, being disabled, like you said, most of the time it's not in a healthy way. They're showing us as Black women being like crazy, or like, and when I hate saying that word, but like they make us look like we just out of our minds and we have no control over any capability of like having a functional mindset or being able to be successful even with having a disability. And if I do have a mental disability, why can't I have control over that? And you show the moments where I do have my breakdowns, where I am not feeling my best, but how I can always manage to get back and still, just do what I'm doing as a human being. It's so flustering as a person who wants to see that kind of representation and it's not there. And like you said, they consider it too intersectional. But as humans, we're all intersectional. And that's the part that really irritates me. Like, there's not a single one of us that does not have some sort of intersectionality. And so, not wanting to give us those kind of visuals, it is flustering. It flabbergasts me every time because I just be wanting that little niche. And this sound like the person that you guys have, like the script that you guys have come up with. The whole storyline sounds like something that is very much needed, but it's very much ignored because it is needed that much.
Yeah, and the other thing that we are pitching is Diana Elizabeth Jordan's one woman show. Because there's something that has been proven time and time again. When you help the most marginalized, it lifts everybody up. It is a rising tide. So we forget anybody, they're going to be left off to the side. So why not help the most marginalized? Because it'll absolutely help everybody else, right? We think about like ramps. And so, but that helps everybody. That helps the mom who has a kid in a stroller. Like, what are we doing? Go ahead, Tameka.
That it is very infuriating that they say it's too intersectional, too niche, and it's amazing how that's where the gatekeeping, and it was very frustrating to experience that.
Yeah, it's like somehow if you have somebody disabled in a movie, like the movie has to be about their disability, as opposed to just casting authentically. Like what, or the way that the world looks. And it is very frustrating. We've been working on Vote Love for literally like 5 years. I just refuse to give up. I refuse to give up. And for those who don't know, it's actually on our website under our production company, but it's a interracial lesbian love story. And yes, the campaign manager is a wheelchair user. The reporter has a disability, but we don't talk about it. Like, we just do not talk about it. The best people for the role. Right. And a lot of people know that Diana Elizabeth Jordan is my favorite actress. I mean, my bestie, Milana Gray, is an actress, and she always says, yes, I know. Milana, because I actually knew Diana Elizabeth Jordan before I knew Milana. And I did a short film with her, and her range is fucking incredible. But she tends to get cast in these disabled roles. But I just want to give a quick story. We did a panel, and we did it. We streamed it live on Clubhouse at the time, and Coco Connection, and it was with Miss Patty Austin. And so when Diana went to ask a question, Patty Austin was like, "Oh my God, I know who you are. I love your work." And we just need to be able and to continue to support people. And Diana was like, "Miss Patty Austin knows my work." She's like, "Yeah," and started naming TV shows and movies and so forth and so on that Diana had been in. And she's like, "You are an incredible actress," right? So we just need to continue to make sure that even if our scripts don't call for anybody disabled, that our casting call is completely open.
So we are getting down to the bottom, and I wanted to invite some folks up that have been dropping questions in the chat. Butch, who's been here, sitting here the whole time, you were just editing Divas in the City.
I also want to give Butch a shout out because Butch is the editor of my favorite show, Pose. So everybody give it up to Butch. Butch is the editor of my favorite show, Pose. I am sorry it did not even go on any longer. I fucking love that show. It helped me to get through the pandemic. It is an incredible show. And Butch, while you figure it out, I'm gonna tell a funny story. So Butch was recommended to us when we were doing cross bonus content, right? And I was like, Okay, but I noticed that on his resume, because they sent it over, and when they send somebody over to you, and it's a higher up, they want you to hire this person. I was like, oh, What nobody knew at the time was that I am very good friends with Stephen Canals, who is the co-creator of Pose. So I texted Stephen and I'm like, they want to give me this guy. I don't know him. What's it like? And he was like, he is incredible to work with. He is a joy to work with. And I'm like, yeah, he's a white guy. Is he going to get that? He's like, he gets it. I did, Butch. I absolutely did. And I just want to say he was an absolute joy and pleasure to work with on the bonus content of Cross. And then when Divas with Disabilities came to me, and I hit up Butch and I'm like, are you busy? Because I know that they didn't have a lot of money, but I also understand that that Butch is one of the most incredible editors. I'm taking Butch everywhere I go with me, everywhere I go. And he's actually in the process now of also editing our PSA kind of stuff that we did for APLA Health. So thank you, Butch. So Tameka, why don't you tell us about Divas in the City and how it came about?
Okay. So the Divas in the City originated actually from Dr. Donna Walton, who is the founder of Divas with Disabilities Project. So I became a diva maybe about 6 years ago. And then when I was in the distribution part of my girl story, Donna was helping me with it and as far as, showing it and everything and screening the film. And then she told me about, Divas in the City. And I was like, oh, this is great, great concept. I love it. And so I said, yeah, let's do this. So that was about 2.5 years ago that we started on this journey. And so initially, we went through the phases of, what would this concept look like. All we knew is that we wanted to feature, Black disabled, physically disabled women as bosses and, entrepreneurs and in entertainment industry and different things like that. That's all we knew. But we did went through like the documentary. Then we said, well, let's try to do like a television network series. And so we did a pitch and all of that pitch deck for it. And then it was recommended to me by some people in the industry to do, why not do a digital series, because the entertainment industry, Hollywood is going through reshaping and things like that. It might be sometimes a hard sale. So, do a digital series. So we said, okay, let's do that. And so we work again with Cheryl and Vanessa, who's also part of Women of Color Unite. And they advise us on how to, do the digital series. And so we did a casting call. And so we found 5 incredible women all across the country, who are doing their thing. They book publishers, own nonprofits. One owned Melva from Texas. She owns her own nonprofit for visually impaired community, and she wrote a play, CB for Me. And then we have a children's book author, that's Karen from Rhode Island of Zazel, who you met today. Natalia Mendez, who owns her own nonprofit for women with spinal cord injuries in New York. So it's like all these women. So it's a exclusive series that will air on Divas in the City TV social media channels. And so it's like a 2-minute um, videos because it's for social media. And so you get to see behind the scenes of their life, told from their perspective on, how they accomplish and do the things, how they run their business and how they are a mother. And, so you get behind the scenes of their life. So Divas in the City TV is on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and TikTok. And yeah, I'm just so excited that we finally here. We did it from scratch. And so I'm very proud of our team. And, love Butch again and Cheryl, Vanessa for helping us out on the series.
First of all, it was my pleasure. Secondly of all, you got to get a Divas with Disabilities account here on Spottable so we can show it, right? So you can drop the episodes here as well. Maybe we can show it in the morning commute, the traffic jam, other advocacy arena, all of the other pods, so everybody knows to watch and how they can support you. If it is on YouTube, you can actually stream on YouTube, Butch. But Butch and I are texting because he's trying to compress it right now so that we can show it. But I am really excited because I remember when Tameka and Donna first came to me with this idea. And they did get a grant, an $8,000 grant. It should have been more, but we know what happens to Black women, women of color when we try to grab a grant. But yeah, so and Tameka and Donna are all members also of Women of Color Unite. And I'm very, very proud to have them.
Yes. And definitely check out, I know Samiyah can speak more about that, but Divas with Disabilities Project, again, founded by Donna, because that is the inspiration of Divas in the City is based upon her wonderful organization, which you can find on Facebook, Instagram, all the socials, as well as wonderful organization to check out.
Yes, Samiyah, why don't you tell us more?
So I am a very, very proud Global Diva Ambassador, and I am the Human Rights and Wellness Program Manager for Divas with Disabilities. So first off, Divas stands for Dynamic, Illuminating, Victorious, Achieving Sisters. Okay, so Divas, it is everything in my opinion, and honestly, once you get to know it, you definitely would agree. I believe so. So the whole basis of Divas with Disabilities is to bring more representation for Black and Brown disabled women and girls through various aspects. So Donna's main goal when she founded Divas with Disabilities was to bring more disabled Black women with visible disabilities to the spotlight through casting and through acting and entertainment. But she has since expanded to um, representing all disabilities, including non obvious disabilities and those who have obvious disabilities. And she has expanded her reach through initiatives that help with expanding various aspects of our quality of life. So we work together on different campaigns to not only bring representation and awareness through physical or different variums or mediums of entertainment, but we also advocate. We also do some boots on the ground work in the ways that we can with our various diva ambassadors. And each diva ambassador has their own unique dedication towards whatever disability that they have, or they're doing something that is based on helping the community as a whole. So Divas with Disabilities is just for me, it's everything because it turned my life around as a person who was dealing with medical racism, and I had truly given up a lot of hope, and it has truly inspired a lot of things within my advocacy work and my personal journey with mental health and with physical disabilities. And so I am now the mental health correspondent, and I also help with bringing more awareness for disabled Black and Brown members of the, I love how you say it, Cheryl, is it legitimate?
Legitimately quoi. I got it from TikTok. Actually, it's Nicci Freeman who told me what the young ones were saying on TikTok.
The legitimately quiet. Okay, so
It flows better, doesn't it?
It
It's like
does.
instead of like LGBTQI, which seems to me like a cheer. I'm ready to
It
go, but
does.
GDBTQI sounds French and glamorous.
So we also represent the LGBTQI community with pride, ability, and this is all through Divas with Disabilities. So, we're just here to help out and, provide resources and be a resource to all of our Black and Brown disabled women and girls. And, we just want to help bring some more representation to light. So if you guys are interested in acting, singing, dancing, music, we are your place to go. We help with casting calls. If you're just interested in getting some more resources available to you, figuring out what is available to you, we are also here for that. So if you guys are interested in becoming a Diva Ambassador, you absolutely are more than welcome as well. Just go to divaswithdisabilities.org. And I will also try and share that link with Cheryl so she can drop it in the chat. And give us a visit. Check us out. Like Tameka said, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok as well. But I think we're more active on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. But you can also hit us up on TikTok if you guys are there, and just give us a shout. We're here for you guys.
I love sharing the other Black women that I ride with in Hollywood who are out here doing the work. Also, feel free to donate. They are a 501c3. I love them. So I'm so glad I could bring them here. Go ahead, Nick. Oh, I forgot. Hey, Carlos.
Hello. The conversation was about how it was like almost too many intersectional boxes being checked, by, and it reminded me of a Marvel series, Echo, that aired last year, if I'm not mistaken. Time is a flat circle, so it might have been 2 years ago. But the main character is in the comics as well in the show. She's Native American, she's deaf, and a woman. But the woman that they cast to play the character is also a double amputee. So it was all of these things, and the dude bros online just sort of reacted like, how many things can she be? As if there's a quota, and then you have to stop. You can't have anything else, any other boxes that you would check. But I actually did have a question about just the expansion of disabled characters in fantasy, and everything from like sword and sorcery fantasy to like space fantasy and like superhero stuff. And clearly I'm still at work because that was a Teams chime that went off, so I will now mute myself.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. The first thing that comes to mind that I've seen, but this is old, and again it goes back to the white character, presumably, I don't know if it was played by a white person, but in Star Trek, I know, or even LeVar Burton, I think he was blind too, wasn't he, in Star Trek? Yeah. So
yeah, he was blind with the visor. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but anything of recently that's like fantasy or sci-fi, it's not really, nothing really comes to mind right now. No, somebody comes to mind, but it would be cool because we are part of Cyborg, Cyborg too, yeah. But that's part of the future, of course. I would love to see more of that.
You know what I have noticed with a lot of sci-fi? It's almost like sometimes the aliens, whatever from whatever other planet, has something sometimes, as opposed to real folk. It looks like Butch can do it. Y'all want to see a little clip? Y'all want to see something? Yeah, we're gonna show something. Go ahead, Butch.
Thank you for all of the applause. Love the way I do it like a boss. It don't really matter what it costs. You can get with it or get lost.
But you did your thing with that. You did your thing with that.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, I love every one of these ladies. It's crazy. Like, started with Natalia, and I'm like, oh, she's my favorite. And then I'm like, oh, Karen. I like Karen. And then, yeah, it just went down the list.
You did a great job. Are y'all excited to see it? I am.
I'm excited.
That was,
Very
yeah,
excited.
that was incredible. What do you think, Tameka? Did I not or tell you that this man could do the thing?
Yes, it was remarkable. And he's a joy as well, because sometimes in the industry, as you know, Cheryl and Nicci, and as many of you know, people can be kind of not always the most fun people to, work with, Butch is a really great person as well. It's a joy to work with him.
I just want, but you know how I feel about you.
Yeah. I don't like the ornery people either.
Yeah, you funny, but he really is. He was a pleasure to work with. Obviously, because I'm keeping him all to myself. No, okay, y'all can hire him. Just make sure he ain't working for me first, and please don't offer him more money because we won't have a lot of money. But that's the thing. And Butch, what? Because you weren't. You did this. You were paid something, but not a lot. What made you decide to take this? Right, like you have edited Pose, the Cross bonus content series. What made you decide to do this for next to nothing?
I think when you and I were working on Ace, Cross Ace, I jumped on a Zoom with Divas, Romeo and I did, and I'm like, we were talking about disabilities, and I don't have a physical disability, but during COVID, right after Pose, I was supposed to go and work on American Horror, and I asked if I could take a break, and I slipped into alcoholism, which I never thought I had a problem with, but I got cirrhosis of the liver, and I got a second chance. So in a way, I felt like connected to the people involved with Divas in the city, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll definitely, I want to help. So that's it in a nutshell.
Thank you, Butch. And Butch is always so open and caring. Like I feel lucky that in Hollywood that I've been able to survive 30 years, but a lot of that has to do with who I surround myself with, the people that I meet, and I hold on to them with a death grip. You can ask Nicci Freeman. I got her in a chokehold right now. I'm dragging her from one thing to another. I use my points. I booked her a flight. She's going to Sacramento with me. I think this just goes to show that we hear a lot of horror stories in Hollywood. A lot of people doing a lot of bad things in Hollywood. But you can find those who you want to align yourself with.
Right.
I want to go back to something that Agent Carlos said. I feel like fantasy and sci-fi has done a much better job with people of disabilities. And I'm not going to say in casting, but in representation, or, making just people like their disabilities normal parts of their life, than any other genre has. And I mean, everything from, Star Wars having blind characters that are fighters. I mean, to Luke Skywalker having his hand cut off, so he's an amputee, or Darth Vader not having arms and legs, so he's a quad amputee, or Matt Murdock being blind and being the superhero. even to some extent, Tony Stark, who is, has a disability because he's got pieces of shrapnel in his body that will eventually kill him if he doesn't have his little tech on it. But does anybody feel that like sci-fi does better, or am I crazy? Is it just me looking at it with a different lens?
No, the one thing that I would say though is that practically every character you mentioned was male. That
This
they
is true. Yes, this is true.
that they give men you know, and I want to preface this by saying there's something, and I think these two things go hand in hand. It's misogyny, because the idea is that they're strong enough, quote unquote, to overcome or whatever, and somehow women have to be damsels in distress. I just brought up Joe Justus. Do you have a question, Joe?
I did want to piggyback off something that you said, but I am ADHD and not doing well right now, so I kind of brain farted it away. It had something to do with sci-fi. Oh, okay. It was Wheel of Time. Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime is more female focused, which I like, and it's also is a lot of racially ambiguous people and tribes and stuff like that. But they recently, what I don't like when it comes to equity is the disproportionality as far as the heroes versus the villains. Like, why do you have to have the villain be the one with that's with special needs? And in the Wheel of Time, there was a little person, a woman who was a very powerful, like witch or whatever. And I thought, cool, here she is. And of course, she had to be a negative character and was not in the show very long. So I just wanted to bring that up as far as the more female centric character. Foundation also is very good. I think on Apple, as far as females, I can't speak to a disability. Sorry, my brain is not working that well. I do want to just close out by saying thank you to anyone who's shared my GoFundMe that I have pinned to my spout. And I'm very thankful to be part of the disabled community. And thank you for letting me speak.
Absolutely. It's about representation. It's about seeing ourselves much, much more.
To wrap it up, Tameka, Samiyah, real fill in the blank. Real representation looks like.
I would say real representation. It looks like us. It's me. It's Samiyah. It's showing various types of characters in this case. Disabled, Black women, you know, living their complex, nuance, beautiful, sometimes challenging lives. So it's us.
I definitely agree with Tameka. Um, Real representation looks intersectional. Real representation looks multifaceted. Real representation looks like a character being able to do all the things while dealing with all the things and living through all of the things. Um, it's just giving real humanistic perspectives, especially for those who have disabilities. Um, Kind of like Joe was saying, with sometimes representing us only for a little bit and then putting us in a negative light. Um, Giving us real stories that doesn't always have to be negative. Giving us real parts that, show the good and the bad and the ugly and the beautiful. Um, so I just think altogether it's really just intersectional and multifaceted.
And where can they find you?
Yes, you can find Divas in the City at divasinthecity.com. And then as far as for me, you can find more about my work at Tameka Citchen-Spruce.com.
And Samiyah, where can they find your blog?
You can find me at Dating While Disabled on Instagram. I'm currently working on my website, so it will be up eventually, probably by the end of this month. or next. Or if you would like to see, like, I do a little artistic work, but I'm not like all fully engaged. You can also find me on YouTube at Samiyah the Songbird. Yeah, I'm also on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn as Samiyah Muhammad.
Wait, Songbird, you sing?
Don't answer her. She will make you sing right now.
I was
Like,
going to make you sing us out.
dry, not prepped. She was going to make you sing us out.
I mean, I could.
Go ahead.
Come on,
Sing us out.
sing us out, Samiyah.
All right, I'm just gonna do what I did in the studio yesterday. I'm the only one for you. I'm the only one for you. All right, see you later.
That's all we get. She just teasing us here. Come on, Samiyah, just get a little bit more.
Oh Lord, I have the song. Y'all can go listen to.
I told you not to start. She would make you finish.
Look, that was the finish. That was the perfect outro.
Okay. Wow.
Love you guys.
All right. Okay. We will leave it at that. So once again, thank you, Tameka. Thank you, Samiyah. Thank you, Butch, who I texted 5 minutes before this, and my text was, "Are you busy?" And he has hung out the entire time. He compressed it. Thank you, Butch. You know how I feel about you, Tameka. Thank you. And thank you for honoring me and Women of Color Unite. I am just lucky that I get to surround myself with people who are smarter than I am.
Thank you again, everybody, for joining and for sticking around and for your questions, comments. Next, we will be doing a How Hollywood Works pod with first assistant directors. And, ooh, do they know dirt? They're the right hand of the director. They sit in a lot of stuff. They get to watch people have tantrums. I'm so looking forward to spilling tea.
That's it for today. Thank you once again, Nicci Freeman, as per usual. I could not do this without you. You're the one that writes the questions. You're the one who takes the bios and makes them all really nice for me. All I have to do is to read some shit. This really, I know I'm the host and Nicci Freeman is the co-host, but it really should be the other way around.
It really should. I'm just kidding.
Wow. Okay. That was some shade.
I'm just kidding.
No, you're not. But it's okay because you're right. It really should be. She is my ride or die, and tomorrow morning I am dragging her. We're meeting at the California.
Which we really need to have a conversation about that, because the option of ride or die, I would like to change that to ride or bail.
No, because if you bail on me, I'm gonna kill you.
No, I mean, like, I will post bail.
Oh well, yeah, she is. She why do you think I take her with me? Just in case I run into trouble, I need somebody who's going to have the bail money that she can put on our American Express card and get points for, so that we can continue to travel. But anyway, I want to thank you again, Nicci Freeman, Tameka, Zazel, Butch, and Samiyah. Join us in 2 weeks where we talk to first assistant directors, the right hand of the director, and we're going to talk some shit. Because that's what we like to do. With that, everybody have a wonderful and blessed.
And thank you to Cheryl Bedford, who is the new mayor of Los Feliz.
Okay, so she's throwing shade. For those who don't know what we're talking about, there was a candidate running in a different district who called me aggressive. Why she call a Black woman aggressive? Yes, Tameka, this is kind of bullshit I still have to deal with. And she lost her race. And she being all salty about it on Instagram and saying it is a loss for justice and diversity, even though I won mine. Sour grape. Too bad. See, look at God. Look at Black Jesus. And with that, I'd like to end on look at Black Jesus. With that, I'm going to X out. Everybody have a blessed day.
The Women of Color Unite podcast is hosted by Cheryl L. Bedford and Nicci Freeman, produced by Nwabata Nnani, and edited by Lauren Bonett. The music is by Oh Yeah, featuring Nayuta. Subscribe to the Women of Color Unite podcast to never miss an episode. If you want to submit questions or responses to this episode, you can send them to podcast@woceunite.com. Find the show notes and transcripts for this podcast on our website at woceunite.org, where you can also learn more about Women of Color Unite and sign up to become a member for free and sign up for our monthly newsletter. Please consider making a tax-deductible donation. Donations are what enable us to create amazing programs like our #StartWith8 career development program. If you're on social media, you can follow the podcast at WOCU Podcast, and you can follow Women of Color Unite at WOCUnite.org.
Please stay tuned and join us for the next episode of the Women of Color Unite podcast, because we telling it like it is.
Need rebels and troublemakers to stand out, marginalized with voices making us so proud for identity in the industry. We all shout, so many women empowered making their own route. Like Cheryl,
ageism, racism, sexism,
uncovered. They get together to form a force to prove the one that ain't gotta have a child to be seen as a mother. I'm saying,
all power
to the women of color. Yeah. It's just a salute to Cheryl Bedford, leading activist in the community. She's bridging the gap and bringing all women together to fight for real inclusion amongst all the diversities. Keep going.